Good morning. How's everybody doing? You happy to see my smiling face this morning? I bet some of you aren't. I bet some of you aren't. That's okay. Today, we're switching it up. We're going in reverse so we can go forward. We're going back into my life story. We left off when I was about 15. Now, it's going to probably take me 3 or 4 videos to unpack 15 to 20. 20 is when I caught my federal bomb charge and started going through the process. But 15 through 20, those 5 years, I packed more self harm into than I know how to express with just a few words. 15 was when things got bad. And I don't know how any of your guys' childhoods were. Maybe you had it worse than me. Somebody had to have it worse than me, for sure. All right, so 15. All the bad shit's happened to me up to that point. Now living in a dope house and running the streets. And I'm in a little town. I grew up in one, small one. There was like 100 kids. I think I mentioned this in my entire graduating class, right? And by the time I got done, there was only like 37 people that graduated high school from my class out of like 110 or whatever it was. So there I am. And I get into the dope game. Nothing else except meth matters. Period. And so we're partying with the biker and all those things, and stuff's going on for a while. And then I fell asleep at the wheel and got in a car wreck. And the whole thing fell apart. I didn't see anybody for a while, and they sent me to rehab. When I got to rehab, the whole thing had fallen apart. Everybody moved. But I was still addicted to dope. And he wasn't the only business in town. I knew some other people that were into dope and selling it. And I'd already got a reputation as being a fucking criminal. So it wasn't hard for me to make a new dope connection and continue selling dope. Between 15 and 17, if you bought dope in this area, you bought it from me and my friends. And it was real too. Like, see how you can justify anything as a criminal? At least it was real. And that was my life. And everything involved with it was just meth. Nothing else mattered. Nobody mattered. What you owned, I'd take from you. Stay up for as many days as I could. It was like the smallest existence ever. It rotated around like 3 houses, a pack of cigarettes, and meth. And it was like in this like time loop, this bubble where all my friends did meth. All we did was meth. All we did was stay up at night and do meth. When you go out during the day, I'd see people my own age, 16 years of age. I'm going to high school or was going to high school with them. And they're still kids, and I feel like an adult. They're still worried about their clothes. They don't give a fuck about money yet. And I'm trying to care about money, which I'm not making any. Just being a good hood rat. And so started this continuous cycle of in and out of rehab and in and out of trying to be part of my parents' life and it never working, and like just wasn't doing good. And then I went to a rehab. I was 16. And I got sober for like 40 days. I went back to school. And the kids that were around me, now I really felt out of place around everybody around me because no one understood what I'd already been through. No one had worked a real job yet. No one had dealt with harsh lessons. No one had had the living fuck kicked out of them like me. Like, I felt completely alone around people. I couldn't fit back in. I couldn't readjust to the idea of society. Like, I had one shot when I was 16. I remember it clearly. I had one chance to pull myself out of all that trauma I put myself through, and I didn't take it. God don't exist and God don't love me, so fuck everybody and fuck God. I'm going to keep right on doing what I'm doing. So back out in the streets we went. And then I met this girl online. Met this girl online. Her name was Mandy. And she lived in Washington. So I went up to Washington to see her. Moved up there, tried to have a relationship with her. She got pregnant. We're both underage. So parents convinced her she should have an abortion. We shouldn't have a child. We were too young. There was too much wreckage. It would cause a lot of problems. I don't disagree with their assessment at all. However, to this day, I mourn my child that I never got to meet. For some reason, even though you would think that, like, having never had a parental figure as a male that I could respect, that I could idolize, not having any of that, you would think that I would hate children or the idea of fatherhood or something like that. But even then, I had this idea in my head that I wanted to have kids and I wanted to be a dad. And I wanted to, I don't know, show my kids that that wasn't what being a human was. I don't even know how to explain to you in the primordial drug addiction that I was in at that time, but it broke me emotionally that she had had an abortion. It broke me. And we broke up. Our relationship didn't last, and it probably could have. Probably could be married to her right now and like probably could have spent our whole lives together. She killed my kid. And I couldn't forgive her. What a dumb thing to take on as a child, right? The trauma of feeling like the one thing you wanted to do right in the world, be a dad. The one thing that you felt you could probably do right, in your first attempt, it had already been killed. And you had no say over it. You were nothing. You were just a sperm donor. Your rights and opinions didn't matter. That one was rough. That one was rough. That one was really rough. So then I came back to Oregon. And I met another girl online. Back in the day, you get on Yahoo Messenger and there were chat rooms, and you just get on chat rooms and talk to people. I met 4 or 5 or 6 girls online over the years back then before I went to prison because that's where it was at. When I got out, it was Tinder and Meet Me, Plenty of Fish. These were the new system of interacting with people, women, when I got out. Because I'm from a little place, the only place I'm going to talk to women anyway is online. You can't really podunk America. There's really not a lot to choose from as far as finding somebody to love. So I met this girl from Missouri. I think I just turned 18. Her name is Crystal. And I had all these drug addictions. I was doing pretty good. I don't think I did meth in a few months or something, and I went back there and I stopped doing meth. I don't remember, but we were in a relationship for like 7 or 8 months, and I lived in Missouri with her and her mom. And while I was there, I met a guy. Where I lived in Missouri, it was the projects. I lived in the ghetto, the townhouses, double eight loops. And you ever been to Missouri, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Paper thin townhouses on double cul-de-sacs. You got to pull into the double cul-de-sac to even get in that section. Ghetto. And this was years ago. I don't know what it's like now, but boy, it was ghetto then. People ran around with guns and everything else. Missouri was wild. Wild. And I met this guy, and he sold weed to the whole neighborhood. He was the guy. So I made friends with the guy. It didn't take me too long to become the guy that he dropped the weed off so I could sell the weed in their neighborhood. We all made money. Because everywhere I've ever gone, finding the connect so I could be involved in the drug trade. It's like I got a big sign on top of my head. It says, hey, I like drugs. And so I lived in Missouri, and then she cheated on me. It broke my heart. She cheated on me with the next door neighbor. They had a weird thing going on before I even got there. I never knew. It was an entire thing. And I found out, and whatever. So I came back. Came back from Missouri. Rode the Greyhound back. Oh, it's terrible. I hate riding the Greyhound. I rode it all over the country more than once. And I was back probably 2 weeks where that woman wrote me a letter and proposed to me. I still have that letter. It was the first time I was ever proposed to as a human being. Weird, right? I've been proposed to 3 times in my life and proposed once and never been married. It's been a weird dynamic. So here I am back in Oregon. And I decided to go to Job Corps. Decided to go to Job Corps. Now I wanted to go to be a welder, but the welding program was full. Most of the construction trades were full. So when I got there, the list of things that I had signed up for, none of them were easy or apparent or able to do. But I had to pick a profession to be at fucking Job Corps. So I picked CNA. The first profession that I learned was a CNA, certified nursing assistant. And I know I don't look like it. I'm kind of ragged looking. But I completed that course. I memorized all the acronyms that you need to understand to be a CNA. There's like 700 of them. I passed all the curriculum. I passed all the tests. And you had to get like a 92% or something like that to pass. You had to get an A to pass. And I probably spent like 4.5 months it took me to complete the paper side of CNA. And then all I had left was the 500 clinical hours at a retirement home, which was, I went to Moses Lake, Washington for my Job Corps. And so Moses Lake was where we'd go to the retirement center every day. Well, let me tell you about Job Corps. Job Corps was one of the greatest places I've ever been to. Ever. And I was 18. And you can only be up to 23. So the downside is a lot of the chicks are underage. So I'm not about it. So I didn't really ever have a girlfriend while I was there. That part sucked. Because I was used to fast women. but I don't fuck with underage women. So if they're not fast and they're not of age, well, then I guess I'm not getting laid. And there's the fucking answer right there, right? But every time, every week, maybe it was every 2 weeks, everybody got paid. You got paid to be at Job Corps. You got a check, and it was $25 up to like $125 or something like that. There was a sliding scale, how long you'd been there. I don't remember the exact, but you got paid every week or every other week. Well, it's a closed campus. You can't leave. You're there the whole time. It's like going to college, but you never leave college. There's a bunch of us kids stuck there, and we all smoke weed. And it probably takes me a couple weeks to run into somebody that went on a home visit and came back, brought a little bit of weed, and they're smoking a joint. I got into it. There's where I had a great criminal idea. I need a plug for weed so I can start selling weed to all these kids. Most of them can't get it, but they would if they could, and they definitely have the money to spend. So, being me, just kind of dove into the scene, you know? I met this chick. She was cool as fuck. She was like a year older than me, too. Maybe a year younger. It doesn't matter. It's not like we slept together. I'm just trying to remember if she was a year older or younger than me. But her cousins were fucking Southsiders. And they don't fucking play around. If your money's good, your money's good. So we were talking. I think we were in a mutual thing, and she told me, hey, listen, I can get weed here. I'm from Moses Lake. And I was like, really? Well, what's up? I mean, how does this work? And she was like, well, I can set you up with my cousins, but you're going to have to sneak off the property and go meet them to get the weed. And I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, here we fucking go. Going to meet gang members in the dark, sneaking off the property. I'm not supposed to leave because it's a federal Job Corps. And I'm supposed to go get weed and sneak back on the property. Fuck it. Let's go for it. So she sets a deal up for me. And I sneak off this bitch in the middle of the night. And I go halfway into fucking town. And Job Corps at Moses Lakes outside of town. So you got to travel a little bit to get to where you're going. It's like a half-mile walk, mile and a half walk. I don't remember. It's a little bit of a walk. They met me like halfway. These three Mexican dudes show up in a car. Are you nice? I'm not gonna say her name. Are you what's her name's friend? Because it was her little cousin. You know, yeah, what's up, man? You know, da 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 da. Okay, here you go. Blah 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 blah. Solid business, no rip off. But the weed is brick weed with seeds. But I got like an ounce for $50. It's about right. Especially when I can sell eights for $20 on at the place and make $160 off of 50. And then because I know no one can leave and everyone's going to pay me, I'm fronting people. So now, next thing you know, everybody's standing outside smoking Black and Milds. And the first this far of the Black and Mild is they haul it out, put weed in it so they could smoke weed and then finish their cigar. And like, I'm smoking Black and Milds. Everybody's, you can't smell them. The Black and Milds covering the weed smell. There's only a couple hits of weed in the front of them. Everybody's getting faded. It turns into Weed Central at this fucking Job Corps. It's federal shutdown. You're not even allowed to leave, and somehow the weed is flowing, and I'm making it flow, and we're getting it done. Look at all these weed seeds, and I'm throwing them out in the yards, and I'm throwing them in the flower beds. Little weeds, plants are popping up, and I have this great idea. I was like, I need to cut out the middleman. Now, please remember, I was young, not very bright, hadn't had a lot of life experience, and thought that I was invincible. So the carpenter guys, they were army lockers. I don't know if you know what an army locker is, but it's a locker. Half of it is where you can hang clothes. There's 4 shelves and there's 1 shelf over the top. That's your locker. That's it. It's an army locker. It was an old army barracks. That's what the Job Corps is. So I have them build me a false wall for one of the shelves, painted and everything, and start growing pot in a federal Job Corps in my closet on federal property. And at night, I'd have this false wall, right? And I had a little light, and I had like 9 plants going in my locker. And then during the day, in the morning, no one really patrolled the grounds too much. So I'd take my pot of marijuana plants and I'd put it out on the back porch of the facility with the rest of the flowers, and they'd just sit out there. No one cared. There's all kinds of pots out there with different plants in them. No one ever noticed. So this goes on for a while. Of course, I get told on. But I've been taking niacin because I'm smart. I take niacin almost every day, and I know it's destroying my body, but it's also keeping my pee clean. So even if they hit me, I figure I'm good, you know? So I'll never forget it. I was doing clinical hours at the retirement home. It was like the 4th day. Because you got to learn all the technical stuff before you can work in a retirement home. You have to be qualified to work in a retirement home before you can work in the retirement home. You don't start your clinical hours until they're sure that you understand what it is you're doing in the clinical hours. I went way back, and they're like, "You need to come to the office. You're not going back to your whatever it was, bunk. Call it a bunk now. That's not what they use. Compound. I don't know." So we go in the office. There's like 6 of us sitting there. Everybody's had to take a fucking pee test. At least 4 of them had told on me. And I come in and I take a pee test, and they're pissed because my pee comes back clean. They've already hit my locker. They didn't find any weed or anything. All they found was my bottle of niacin, which isn't illegal. Oh, and they're mad. Talking about, we know it was you, and you're the ringleader, and you're da 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 da. And we're calling the cops. And I was like, well, whatever. Call the cops then. And we're gonna call them tomorrow. You're locked down on dorm restriction. Okay. And they let everybody go back to the bunkers. When I got back, there's 110 people in my thing, and we had meetings every day. So, and everybody already knew because it went over the compound quick. So when I walk in, everybody's looking at me like, "Oh, you poor bastard!" And I go, "Listen, everybody, it's like this. Fuck this place and fuck these people. I'm leaving, and I'm leaving tonight. So if any of you want to donate any amount of money at all towards my fund so I can get the fuck out of here, I'm leaving on foot, and I'm leaving in 20 minutes." Fuck them. What are they going to do? I signed up for Job Corps. This isn't fucking jail. I can leave if I want. Yeah, it's a hard option, but it's an option. So I packed my shit. And that dorm gave me like almost $200 between everybody. I love those people. I ain't never talked to any of them since, but I tell you what, I made some friends there. I still have an entire photo album from that Job Corps, and I can still remember every one of their names. Like, it was the last time in my life that I felt like I was part of something. I was part of the cool crowd. I was part of the, what was happening. I was just part of it, and no one hated me. I didn't have enemies. Like, I got along with everybody. I loved everybody. I didn't give a shit. And so I left. You know where I went? I hitchhiked to Missouri. I made it to the middle of the Colorado Rockies for a snowstorm, forced me to call my parents. They didn't know I'd left Job Corps. I'll never forget that phone call. I called my dad collect from a payphone in the middle of the Rockies, cold as fuck. Talking about, I'm out of here. You're out of where? I'm out of Job Corps. You need to go back. I'm already in fucking Colorado and I'm headed for Missouri. You're what? I was growing weed. They tried to catch me. Feds are watching me. I think I'm going to jail. I got to get the fuck out of here. I need a bus ticket. You what? You ain't never going to see me again. Just buy me a goddamn Greyhound ticket to Missouri. So they did. They didn't give a fuck. My junky ass gone and states away. I'd have paid for that ticket too. So off I went back to Missouri. Only this time I didn't have a girlfriend, so I went right to the dope man's house. And I was like, "Hey, bro, what's up?" And he's like, "Man, I got you. Pick me up, smoked a joint on the way home." Now I'm back to being a drug dealer. I'm back to being a drug dealer. And we sell weed. We sell weed all day long. We sell eights for $20 a fucking brickweed, bammer weed all day long. Eights all day long. People coming through all day long. Trap House Incorporated. We're not just smoking weed. We're getting meth. And now I'm snorting a little heroin. See, the thing was, my buddy had another buddy. And if you're a dope man and there's other people who do different kinds of dope, you got to be friends with them so you can get the different kinds of dope, right? It was a black dude. His name was Pac. I'll use somebody's name because it doesn't matter. And it was so many years ago and he doesn't exist. And so, like, it doesn't matter. His name is Pac. He's this black dude, man. He talked real fast and he was real ghetto. And he's from St. Louis, Missouri. And all you boys from St. Louis, you know what time it is, especially East St. Louis, where the concrete jungle is. And that's where we go to get our drugs. This guy loved me for some reason. It's probably for this story I'm about to tell you. He takes me down to St. Louis, right? And it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. We're snorting lines of meth off a dinner plate on our way down there. And we get to the spot, right? And he pulls up in this ghetto ass neighborhood, and all it is concrete bunkers. There's stairs that go down or stairs that go up, and it's just solid concrete. You can go to that door down there or that door up there, and then it just goes down. There's no decorations, there's no plants. It is just straight dirty ghetto. So we go down the stairs. Knocks on the door, and this dude answers in like his boxers with a gun. Big black guy. Give me the weird look, lets us in. And it's just this big, open, empty concrete room. It's got a couch in it with clothes piled like 2.5 feet high. Just so many amounts of clothes. And then a really fat, nasty, stained up white chick in her underwear laying on a mattress. Can't make this up. And he made her bounce. So we come in and there's only one place to sit, and it's on the. I'm not sitting on the bed. There's one place on the edge of the couch. So I sit down on the edge of the couch, and immediately the guy goes, "Hey, Pac, tell your friend to get up. He's sitting on 10 grand." And I stood up. I was like, "My bad, bro." And he goes, Pac goes, "Grab that." I go, "Fuck you, Pac. You grab that shit. What the fuck is wrong with you, bro?" And the guy looks at me and says, "Yeah, Pac, what the fuck is wrong with you, homie?" And so then it gets tense. And I'm high on meth. So I'm like, "Oh, fuck. This is all bad. I'm white. I'm going to get fucking shot here for sure." So the guy walks over and lifts up the couch and he pulls out this bundle, right? It's heroin. It's like 10 G's worth of heroin. Big, fat fucking chunk of black tar. Huge. So we talk for a little bit. Dude kind of fills me out, realizes I'm all right. I'll be talking shit, hanging out. I'm one of the fellas. It don't matter if I'm fucking white. That shit don't fucking matter. Not if you're a certain kind of human being. It don't matter what color you are. And I fit right in, right? I'm one of the fucking dirt bags. So then they go in this little side room. And when I came in, remember I said I had a gun, but also when I came in, there's a little room and there was a washer, a dryer, a safe, and an AK. And they walk in there and he turns the washer machine on. And I'm sitting in the big room on the couch again because now the heroin's gone. And they turn the dryer on or whatever it was. And so it's loud. I can't hear a fucking word they're saying. And this goes on for like 45 minutes, an hour. I'm just sitting there chain smoking cigarettes like, what the fuck is going on here? And suddenly Homeboy comes out, Pac comes out. Everybody's all smiles. I get daps. We have more drugs. Back up the fucking freeway we go. And the dude was impressed. He's like, "I can't believe it. You just sat on 10 grand. You didn't flinch at all, white boy. You're all right. Da 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 da." Well, the first time I'd seen large amounts of drugs. Missouri was a crazy time. Now, I could do lots of stories on criminal behaviors and glorifying criminal mindsets, but that's not the point of any of this. I touch on these subjects and share them with you so you can see why some of my reflections that maybe you think are outlandish or outdated or just plain crazy, the crazy life that I have lived to gain this crazy knowledge that I consider truth. There's a lot more to 15 to 20, and we're going to share it to the best of my ability without glorifying or without sharing pain. I don't need to be heard from any of you. I'm simply giving you a reference point so you can go, well, he went through that. It's probably why he thinks that. He went through this. Is probably why he fights against that. He did all these years of doing that. No wonder he's completely against these actions over here. See, because by listening to my story, you need to understand one thing: it's a success story. That story leads to you talking to the version of me that I am right now. And the joy that I feel now makes it important to me to share how I found it and what I think about it. Thanks for listening. Feel free to share your reflections. I don't get a lot of comments yet on this, which means I'm winning. The idea that a lot of people don't comment on my videos means I'm winning because I look funny. So why aren't they swinging for how I look? Why aren't they swinging for how I talk? Why aren't they swinging at my complete denial of religion and different things? Like, why? There's views, but why is nobody saying anything? Why is the only thing I get just maybe one little piece of hate and nobody even reflects on the words that I use, even though I spend a half an hour doing so? And then I realize something. I'm knocking out the competition before they can even open their mouth. I'm shutting down people's bullshit by simply expressing my truth as how I am and who I am and why I believe what I believe. I'm winning. And this was never a competition. I didn't do this to win anything. It wasn't to, suddenly create a YouTube channel. It wasn't anything. It was the absolute need to share the beauty within myself with someone else. Got to. Mandatory. Why'd I go through all that just to hold it inside and not share it so somebody else can use it to help themselves in some way that I don't understand? It feels so good to always win. Because all I'm trying to do is live in love. That's it. Just be love. So cliche, but it's so fucking hard. But you'll get it figured out. If I got it figured out, you got it figured out. If I went through all this and I still love, by God, you can too.